Welcome back to the Morning Blend. Well, it starts out with the goo-goos and the gagas and mama and daddy, but perhaps the kid next door of the same age already has a bigger vocabulary.
And parents are always into comparing. We know that. So how do you know if your child's speech development is normal? And when should you see a doctor? Joining us now with more on this topic is the editor of MilwaukeeMoms.com, Sonia Youngsma-Knaus, along with speech therapist and mom blogger Amy Reno. Nice to have you both here.
Yeah, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I think especially, you know, when our kids are young and it goes on for several years, really, I think at least through the early stages of grade school, it's always like, how does my child's speech compare to other children's speech? And is it normal? Because you notice things about your child's speech development and the pattern of with which they speak, right?
Right, absolutely. And that's parents' biggest concern on Milwaukee Moms is my child developing normally? They're maybe not doing the same thing as a neighbor child, and so those are some of the biggest questions.
Well, and I think some parents kind of get a little competitive, you know? So what does a speech therapist do? If you come into the picture and you work with some kids, what would you do?
We would usually evaluate a child or an adult, and then that usually takes about an hour and a half. We go through articulation and language and some mouth movements, and then we meet with the family, go over the findings, and then decide if they need speech therapy or not.
What are some of the most common questions that you hear from parents? Because, like, for example, my 5-year-old, the letter R still is something that she doesn't sound out very well. And I always wonder, at what point do you do something? But what kinds of questions do you often get?
And I'm thinking that it must be kind of like being a vet, right? You go to a party, and if you're a vet, people start telling you about their cat and asking you if it's normal. And I said to Amy when we were having coffee the other day, too, my 3-and-a-half-year-old, I had her look at a little video, and I said, is this normal with her speech? Because everybody kind of wonders. How do you find out?
And every child is different. The development is different with every child. And so I get questions like that all the time, which I love. So the biggest thing that parents can do if they have a big concern is they could email me on MilwaukeeMoms.com. They could call their local school. There's usually one or more speech therapists on site at every school. And there's birth to threes. Children's Hospital of Wisconsin is amazing, and they have a great speech department. And I also have a website called speechtails.com that families can go on and they can ask me questions, or they could do an articulation test online.
And what have been some of the responses from that? Because I know a lot of people do write in and they ask you.
Yeah, a lot of great, along the lines of the development, is this normal or is this abnormal? And then there's some families that are actually seeing somebody for therapy, and so then they ask questions, you know, about that. Am I seeing them enough? Maybe a lot of, you know, more specific questions like stuttering or apraxia or different things like that.
Yeah, and we've noticed that since Amy's blog came on Milwaukee Moms last fall, that a number of people have emailed her, and some people kind of even offline didn't necessarily want it published, but just wanted to know, is this normal? What should I be doing? And parents with really big concerns. And you can find her contact info on her blog, on the Kitchen Table Bloggers on Milwaukee Moms.
Well, I wonder about identifying whether or not a child has a speech problem. And there's actually a video clip that you brought with you to describe sort of identifying the problem, right? Walk us through that.
Well, I'm not sure exactly which the clip is, but this is from speechtails.com, which is a website that I've recently launched, and it is an articulation website. So it's another way for parents to maybe get some speech therapy on their own. So it's a little bit different than traditional speech therapy. It's more of an enhancement to that. So.
Well, and I like that so much of your company is online, because I think parents are very comfortable researching and asking questions online. It seems like a safe way to do that.
Right. It is.
Well, let's take a look at the video, because you brought that with, and I think it's really interesting for people to see.
Okay.
Hi, and welcome to Speech Tales Online Learning. Today we will be working on B, P, and M sounds. This session has mouth exercises, proper tongue placement, and a series of words that contain the B, P, and M sounds. Bear, bear, bear. Bed, bed, bed.
Now, is that something that kids are saying along with you as they watch the video?
Right, right. In essence, what Speech Tales is supposed to do is there's just little mini online learning sessions, and then the child would be able to do the speech right in their home.
Okay.
So they'd be working on that sound, and their parent would be nearby or maybe sitting with them at the table so that they'd be able to hear and help them with the mouth placement and actually saying the sound.
You brought a lot of
we got to
different
get to
toys.
this before we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
What are these for?
Now these are this is my office, kind of like here, and these are just some ideas for families to get more speech out of their child. And these are just some toys. You know, the louder the toy, sometimes the better. And families could mix this up. This is more for preschool kids, so it's great, like to maybe pair some of these things with some play food, or even mix the
So
Play-Doh.
you get them to talk when they're interacting with the toys.
and do
then?
the turn taking, talking with parents, and you know, all of the little animals, the manipulative toys, and this is a really fun, loud toy as well.
And it's all about getting kids, like Sonia just said, to interact, to talk, to hear their speech, to encourage more speech, because probably the more practice, the better,
Absolutely.
right? And the more
Absolutely.
repetition, the
Right.
better. We have some information we wanted to share with parents out there. First of all, that website is speechtails.com, and that's where people can see your videos, Amy, and kids can talk right along with you, practice some of those important sounds. And then also I know that you have a blog. You can check it out at MilwaukeeMoms.com. What's the name of your blog, by the way?
Children's speech blog.
Yep, and
Children's
you can
speech
go
blog.
straight to the
Yeah.
blogs at MilwaukeeMoms.com/blogs.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Thanks so much.
Yeah,
nice
thank
to have
you.
you guys
Nice to meet
here.
you.